Okay, so insurance. Not exactly the most exciting topic, right? It can be confusing and kind of easy to just put it off. But today we're going to deep dive into why it's so important. We're using an article from FinShots called Money Resolution, #5 Buy Protection.
Yeah, this article is part of their whole series on money resolutions for the new year.
Right, and it makes this kind of bold statement saying you should sort out your insurance even before you think about investing.
Yeah, might sound counterintuitive. We always hear about those amazing compounding returns, but this article is kind of flipping the script, highlighting what could happen if you don't have that financial safety net in place.
Yeah, and to really bring that point home, they use this scenario. Imagine saving diligently for like 20 years. You're almost there, about to hit that Euro crore goal, but then something happens, like a sudden illness or something. You can't work for months. What happens to your family's finances then? That's where life insurance comes in.
Exactly. And the article stresses that you should get life insurance like ASAP.
Wait, even before you start investing.
Ideally, yeah. Good rule of thumb is to aim for coverage that's worth at least 10 times your annual income. So let's say you earn 10 lakhs a year.
Yeah,
You should be looking at a 1 crore policy as a bare minimum.
makes sense. But then they also talk about bumping that up to 15 times your income. Isn't that a bit much for most people? I mean,
Well, not necessarily. Think about it. Eurocore might feel like a lot right now,
yeah.
but over time, inflation eats away at that.
Mm.
Things get more expensive, so that Eurocore might not go as far in the future.
Especially if your family has to rely on that money for years.
Exactly.
Okay, so long-term view. Got it. But what about the type of life insurance? I have a friend who almost got talked into this policy that promised premium returns at 65.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those.
Sounded amazing at first, but then this article kind of throws shade on those kinds of policies.
Right. This is where that keep it simple, silly principle comes in. The article breaks down why those complicated policies, with all the bells and whistles, might not be the best deal. They compare a policy with those premium returns, policy A, with simple term insurance, plus just investing separately, policy B.
Yeah, and the results are pretty surprising.
Right.
They included a whole spreadsheet analysis, but honestly, I'm still a little fuzzy on why policy B comes out on top. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. With policy A, part of what you pay goes towards building up those returns. Sounds good, but it also makes the premiums way higher. Policy B, you're basically just getting pure protection with the term insurance. And that's really affordable. Then you can take the money you save on premiums, invest it yourself, potentially get even better returns that way.
So by separating insurance and investment, you actually end up with more money. Didn't see that coming.
Yep. And this is exactly why insurance companies often use emotional appeals and make things super complicated. It makes it harder to compare and really understand what you're getting.
So understanding the basics like term insurance, that's super important.
Exactly. Term insurance is just about protection. Nothing fancy.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, this brings up another question I've always had. Why bother getting my own health insurance if my employer already provides it? Seems kind of pointless,
I
right?
get where you're coming from. But relying only on employer coverage can be risky. What if you decide to become an entrepreneur? Or take a career break? Or maybe even face a layoff? That safety net could disappear overnight.
And then what? You're stuck with potentially huge medical bills.
Exactly. And that's not even considering what if you develop a health condition later in life. Getting individual insurance then could be really tough.
Or really expensive.
Exactly. So having your own policy gives you that peace of mind no matter what happens with your job.
Okay, you've convinced me. Adding get health insurance to my to-do list. Now, speaking of things to do, the article was super clear about the importance of honesty when applying for insurance.
Yeah, that's crucial.
And actually, this almost happened to me. An insurance agent actually tried to convince me to hide a past injury on my application. I was like,
Uh-oh.
wait, isn't that illegal?
It is. And unfortunately, some agents prioritize their sales over what's best for you. They might tell you it's no big deal to leave things out, but insurance companies do their research. They can find that information.
And then what?
If you make a claim on a policy where you weren't completely honest, they can deny it completely.
So not worth the risk.
Not at all. The article recommends getting advice from trusted sources. But the main takeaway is to find someone who actually has your best interests at heart.
Someone who can help you navigate the whole insurance thing and make sure you're truly protected. So once you have those insurance policies in place, there's another important step the article talks about, and that is letting your family know about those policies.
Exactly. It's not enough to just have them tucked away somewhere. Your family needs to know how to actually access them if something happens.
Right, like what's the point of having a safety net if nobody knows how to use it? It'd be awful if something happened and they had no idea where to even start.
Absolutely. You don't want them scrambling for information during a crisis.
So what kind of details should we be sharing with them?
Well, first off, where are those policy documents?
Mm.
Do they know? And who are your insurance agents? How to contact them?
Mm.
And then the claims process, walk them through that. What forms need to be filled out, what documents to gather, stuff like that.
Oh, and passwords.
Yeah.
Those are important too.
Definitely. Especially if you have online accounts for your insurance. Make sure they know how to log in.
Sounds like a good idea to have a just-in-case folder with all that info organized.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
Okay, before we move on, there's one more thing from the article I want to touch on. They had this tip about free life insurance through mutual funds.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It caught my eye, but I'm a little skeptical. Free life insurance. Is there a catch?
Well, it's definitely worth knowing about, but there are some caveats. Some mutual fund companies offer a free life insurance policy as an added perk when you invest with them, but it's not a standalone policy.
So there are conditions.
Yeah. Usually there are investment requirements. You might have to commit to investing a certain amount each month, maybe for a few years at least. And the coverage isn't unlimited. It's often capped at a certain multiple of your monthly investment.
So like if I invest $10,000 a month, the coverage might be limited to 10 lakhs or something.
Exactly. So it's not meant to replace a full life insurance policy, but it could be a nice bonus.
Yeah, a little extra protection.
Right. The article mentioned it could be especially good for people who can't get traditional life insurance. Maybe they have some health issues or something, or for people who are on a career break and might not have income proof for some policies.
Makes sense. Okay, this whole deep dive has been really eye-opening. I'm starting to see insurance in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about numbers and policies. It's about protecting the people you care about, giving them that financial security no matter what happens.
I couldn't agree more. That peace of mind, knowing you've taken those steps to protect your loved ones, it's invaluable.
It frees you up to pursue your goals knowing that you have that safety net in place.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly into our next episode, where we'll be talking all about setting those financial goals and creating a roadmap to achieve them.
Sounds good. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to remind our listeners that the FinShots article we've been talking about has some great resources linked in it. Health Insurance 101 and Term Insurance 101.
Oh, yeah, those are great starting points if you want to learn more.
Definitely check those out. And remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances.
Absolutely.
Well said. So speaking of power, did you know that even the Beatles sang about insurance?
No way. Really?
Yeah. In their song, You Never Give Me Your Money. It's in there, I swear.
Wow, I never knew that. Guess insurance really is everywhere.
It's true. Okay, so to all our listeners out there, remember, protecting your financial well-being is a journey, not a destination. Tune in next week for our deep dive into setting financial goals. Until then, remember, knowledge is power, and making informed decisions is the key to building a secure and prosperous future. It really is kind of wild to think about the Beatles singing about insurance.
Right. Not exactly typical rock and roll subject matter, but I guess it goes to show you insurance really is something that touches everyone's lives in some way.
And today's deep dive, I think, has really highlighted that it's not just about policies and premiums and all that. It's about people.
Yeah, taking care of the people you love.
Exactly. Giving them that financial security, even if something unexpected happens.
Peace of mind knowing you've done everything you can to protect them.
And I think that peace of mind can be so empowering, too. It lets you go after your dreams and take chances without constantly worrying about what if.
I totally agree. When you've got that solid foundation in place, including the right insurance coverage, it gives you the confidence to make those big moves and really live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, it's like having a safety net so you can reach for those stars without being scared of falling. And you know what? That actually ties in perfectly with our next episode on setting financial goals.
It all comes full circle, doesn't it?
It does. Insurance is such a key piece of any good financial plan. And it's not just about protecting what you have now, but also about helping you build that future you want.
Right. Building towards those goals.
So for our listeners out there who are feeling inspired to take action after this deep dive, what's the first step they should take?
Well, I'd say take some time to really think about your own financial situation. Look at your income, your expenses, your assets and debts, and ask yourself those key questions. Like, what are my financial priorities? What do I absolutely need to protect? What are those long-term goals?
Get a clear picture of where you stand right now and where you want to be.
Exactly. And once you have that clarity, then you can start looking at different insurance options and figure out what makes the most sense for you, what aligns with your specific needs and goals.
And remember, it's okay to ask for help too. Don't be afraid to reach out to a financial advisor. Ask questions. Do your research. Find someone who really understands your situation and can guide you through the process.
Absolutely. And like that FinShots article stressed, finding someone who truly puts your best interests first is so important.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of FinShots, don't forget about those great resources they link to Health Insurance 101 and Term Insurance 101. Those are fantastic starting points if you want to dive deeper.
Totally agree. Okay, well, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. If you had to write a song about insurance, what would the lyrics be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let me see. Maybe something like building a fortress for the future, brick by brick, shielding my loved ones from life's unexpected kicks.
I love it. It really captures the essence of what we've been talking about today. And on that musical note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the world of insurance. Join us next week as we explore the exciting world of setting financial goals. Until then, remember, knowledge is power, and making informed decisions is the key to building a secure and prosperous future.